It's time for the movie raid, and tonight's victim is actor Wayne Bastrup that played in Terminator Genisys, Sully, with Tom Hanks in it, amongst many others. Hello.
Hello, thanks for having me. Yeah, Sully, that was a couple of years ago now. Seems odd, because it seems like just yesterday. Funny how that stuff sort of works in your brain sometimes. But yeah, Sully we did a couple of years ago and shot in New York City. Came back and finished it here in LA and got to work with Tom. I call him Tom like I know him, but I really don't. But he was a great guy. It was a lot of fun.
So what have we been up to so far in terms of projects, in terms of like anything that's been recently released or anything that you're about to get out there within the couple months that you are allowed to say?
I just did an episode of Angie Tribeca, and those episodes got released online right before Christmas, or right after Christmas. I think it was December 29th. It was right before the end of the year. So those episodes are now streaming on TBS. I believe I'm in episode number 2, which is called Glitch Perfect, by a Texas State Trooper. I don't know if you've ever watched Angie Tribeca, but it's a really funny show. It was created and executive produced by Steve Carell and his wife. And as you know, he's got a wicked sense of humor. The writing is tremendous. Rashida Jones is great. And in this season, we've got Bobby Cannavale, actually, who's got an arc throughout this season. So I got a great little scene with him. So if you get a chance, go to TBS, check it out.
Very nice, very nice. Now, when it comes to the television portion compared to film portion, I mean, do you think it's more let loose on being a character between television than film for yourself?
Are you asking if there's a difference, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I think these days, that line between TV and film is really become sort of moot. It doesn't really exist that much anymore. It's funny, I'm sort of halfway through the second season of The Handmaid's Tale right now. And I don't know if you've seen that, but it's like one of my favorite shows right now. It's amazing. It's incredible. And it's a TV show, but it's meant to be watched, almost as a film. And the acting and the pacing of that show is much more like a theatrical film than it would be television, as you sort of generally think about it. And I think a lot of TV these days, especially streaming shows, are sort of formatting their content that way. So it sort of feels more like a film rather than a TV show. But as far as my approach goes, there really isn't that much difference as far as like a preparation in that sense. The thing that's different about TV and film really as an actor, sort of the pacing when you get there and you start the film. TV shoots quickly. They're on a much tighter schedule, and they've got episodes stacked on top of episodes, and they need to get on with 1, 2, 3, and 4, and so on in a certain amount of time. So, a lot of times directors, producers, and such, you get hired for a show like that, and they're not necessarily going to work with you or your character per se, which is good and bad in a way, because you get hired. You go in and you do an audition, and you get hired because of what you did in that audition. So they expect you to sort of bring that to the character, to the show, and that's what they want to see. Film's a little bit different. It's certainly, they take their time. The pacing's a lot slower. The directors are much more involved with the actors rather than just sort of behind-the-scenes stuff. So you have an opportunity to do rehearsals, which you don't typically get to do in television, to explore the characters or their emotions sometimes in a particular scene. You get those opportunities more so in film, but I don't think the preparation process is that much different from my end, really. It's sort of, you get hired, and it's the same with film. The director sees something in your audition that they like, and that's what they want to see you bring to the film on set. And if there's adjustments to be made, then they'll talk to you about that. So.
Yeah, and when it comes to performing a character, do you think structuring an emotion before performing a character moment is actually a good method, like preparation, like you mentioned?
For me, no, not necessarily. I mean, you have to have an understanding of the scene and, what's going on in the scene. Is somebody just get shot? Is somebody getting married? Those, just knowing what the scene is sort of informs what the emotion should be, typically. But I think, at least for myself, if you overthink an emotion before you try to project that during filming, I think comes off a little phony in a sense. I'm more of the Meisner approach where, you get in the scene with your partner and then you sort of see where it takes you. There's always this notion that you sort of have to think about crying or laughing or anything like that. And when you think of something on an academic level, like, at the funeral, I should be crying. Well, should you be? I don't know. I mean, a lot of people don't cry at funerals. A lot of people are very stoic and stuff like that. So if you try to sort of force or think about an emotion like that, it could come off as being forced. So typically, my approach is get there on set, see what the other actors are doing, see what the director says, all that type of stuff. happy little accidents, that come out while you're doing the film, while you're filming and doing scene after scene. So that's more my approach when I sort of doing sort of preparation. I think if you think about it too much, you're going to trip yourself up.
Oh, I definitely agree, because there are times like your character has actually been in the interrogation type of mode where your character is being interrogated by another character, because anyone could really mess that area up because you're being talked to rather than you talking to the character. Because if someone's talking to you about a past moment of your character, then anything can happen in that moment. Anything, like you could probably overthink it, you could probably forget that moment for that 1 second, or anything in that period, and it could either ruin or actually be a part of the character itself.
No, absolutely. There are actors who say they can do this and study something for 3 months and create a character in their head and then sort of reproduce that on film. All this sort of character's emotions and everything, but in a sense, I still kind of find that a little bit of a stretch, because ultimately you're bringing your own emotions to what's happening in a lot of ways. And to say that a character cries here, or he laughs here, or he rolls his eyes here, or something like that, I think you're not really living in the moment while you're there filming. And to me, that's really the key. I think when you live sort of in the moment, that's when I think the authenticity and a performance comes out. Because if you're thinking about all this stuff, what should the character do here before I shoot the scene? You're going to be thinking about that during filming. And I've tried those methods before, and they don't work, because I got too much stuff going on in my head. I'll forget my line or something. I've got a speech, and then maybe I shouldn't have done that because this character really is more of a tough guy. I just don't. It doesn't help me. It trips me up more often than not.
Yeah, it could be a big distraction of because some people can pull this off. They could just boom do the character right there off the spot. Just thinking about every little aspect of the character. Sure, there's nothing wrong with trying where the character is going before you do the moment. But once you get to that moment, now you're focusing on that, but then you lose focus on, okay, where's the character supposed to be sitting, where the character's supposed to be walking, like hand gestures or whatever, the body language, you're forgetting all about that.
Right. No, exactly. There's some things you can do to sort of get into a mood and stay in that mood. Let's say you're doing a film, and the film is about a really depressed guy who got divorced. His life is just in ruins, and he's just sad all the time. That's, I think, a broad enough emotional sort of state to kind of build your foundation from. But, and I think if you get any more specific than that, I think that's when you start to sort of pick yourself up. I'm going to be kind of sad throughout this film, and you will be, but it's not to say that you're not going to have moments of a slight smile here that you're not expecting it, or a chuckle or a laugh, or whatever it might be, because the scene sort of plays out that way.
Yeah, and even sometimes the smallest thing that your character do, or you yourself could do, that isn't exactly a part of the character, like let's say you pause, like an awkward pause that's not really in between characters, like that kind of just to me it kind of kills the moment there, because you're like, okay, now what?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I know a lot of actors, and I have a lot of actors friends, and everybody's got a philosophy. And I'm not one, I've never been one to sort of discourage anybody's, process. Everybody's got their own way of working and getting themselves to a place, whatever that might be. I think that's great. And I've always found it suspicious. You come to LA, and there's all these schools of acting and all these teachers and coaches and everything, and everybody has the right answer, right? Wherever you go to, and it might be completely different for the next guy, but they've got the right answer to how it should be. And I don't think that's the case. Nobody's got the right answer. I think it's specific to each individual and how the artist really likes to work. And you can't tell Picasso to paint like Monet. That's not a style, right? You can't tell either one of them that they're wrong.
Yeah, everybody's got their own method. Sometimes you can't play it off as like, it almost seems like they're trying to instruct you, okay, this is how I want you to do it the way I did it. But that's not really, to me, it's not supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be, here, this is one way out of many ways how to act like this or move like that, or how to perform in a different way like other people do, not just one straightforward type of method.
Yeah, think of how boring it would be if all actors prescribed to the same method. I think it would be really boring to watch people. Everybody's kind of doing the same thing. They've got the same process. I think what makes watching great films and TV shows and whatnot so exciting is the people, these individual actors that are unique in their own way. If you watch a Denzel Washington, you watch a Jack Nicholson. You can watch Jack Nicholson, and he's my favorite actor, by the way. That's why I say that. He's so unique. He's so unique, and you can put him into different roles, but he's always Jack Nicholson. That's what's so exciting to watch, is him, really. He can play different characters, but he's just exciting to watch, and he's completely different from any other actor. We talked about Tom Hanks, and he's a perfect example. The thing about Tom Hanks is what you see on the screen is exactly what he's like. like in real life, and I'm sure you've seen interviews with him. And he's the same way. When I was on set around him, he's a happy, jokey guy. I mean, he's exactly where he wants to be. You can tell he just loves his work. But what makes Tom Hanks so authentic is Tom Hanks. And when you see him doing characters, yes, he's being serious, or he's being funny, or he's being sad, but it's always Tom Hanks, and that's what's so interesting about it.
Playing roles, do you think, even if it's a minuscule role or small role or even mid-sized role, do you think having to act big than what the role is a good method as well?
Good question. No, I wouldn't say that at all. Maybe if you're talking theater, that might work. If there's anything I've learned over the past 12 years, is the less you do, the more mileage you're going to get out of what you're trying to do. Because the thing about the camera is it exaggerates everything. A television camera, and now they're doing 3D IMAX cameras. Everything in the high definition, everything you do, every little facial twitch that you do when you're delivering a line or you're looking at somebody a certain way, that reads. And so the danger always pushing it too far, getting too big with it. It's a learning process, and you're sort of always adjusting yourself to that in a lot of ways. A good example actually is the Angie Tribeca episode that's airing now. Angie Tribeca is a satirical police drama, and if you watch it, it's hilarious, but it's because it's just so outrageous. It's so crazy. They just put these situations together. It reminds me of like The Naked Gun and stuff like that, essentially. But the thing that's great about like The Naked Gun or something is Leslie Nielsen always plays this totally buttoned up straight guy all the time. And that's what's so funny about it. He doesn't have to do anything big because the situations are crazy. And that's what it's like with this Angie Tribeca episode where I play this not too bright police officer. And if I went too big with it, it would just be too clowny. But trying to keep it grounded, just saying your lines and making a facial expression when it's warranted, it works because the situation is so crazy. You don't have to be crazy. The situation is.
Yeah. And having to, aside from like personal emotions into a character, do you think influence should be put aside, even trying to get that good role or to get the good results? Do you think it's best not to have any real influence toward whatever character you're doing?
Not at all. I mean, you need to bring all of that. I mean, you have to. We're not robots. I know what it's like to cry. I know what it's like to be sad. And when you're crying and you're sad, you're not faking it. You are those things. And so anytime that you can bring a personal experience into something, I think is extremely helpful. I think the key, though, again, is kind of going back to what we talked about in the very beginning, is not thinking about it. Not thinking that you need to be sad. In other words, if all of a sudden you're in this scene and you're 3 pages in this dialogue and something gets triggered in you where it's, you want to laugh hysterically, or, the character says something and all of a sudden you're really sad and a tear falls down your face. I mean, that's what you're really looking for. You're looking for something in the scene or the dialogue to trigger that. Because if you think about it, then I think it comes off as phony. I'm going to cry at this moment. I am going to have a smirk at this moment. Well, it can be done, but I don't think it has the same impact. So, again, all those experiences, we've all been angry, we've all been sad, we've all been happy, all of that. You have to bring all of those things into any role you do. And again, when you talk about an actor like Tom Hanks, every time Tom Hanks laughs, he's not doing, maybe his character is laughing, but it's Tom Hanks laughing. You know what Tom Hanks sounds like when he laughs. He's not making up a laugh. It's Tom Hanks laughing, but he's doing it for the character, and it's authentic because it's him. And I think that's how a lot of actors work, and that's sort of my approach again too. You have to bring your own personality because you never separate yourself from a character. I am this person. You're always Benicio del Toro. You're always those people.
Actors, every actor in the world wants to be a success in every role or basically anything in the film industry itself. Do you think that sometimes the fear of excess can actually affect the ability of an actor?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think you can get too, I'm sure you could probably get too comfortable. You've made it this far. You take your foot off the accelerator a little bit. I think that's always a fear. There's a musician I read an interview about a few years back, and he said the same thing. And he said that he has, now that he's made it, and a well-known musician and a well-known band, he said the easy thing to do is to kind of sit back and enjoy the riches. But then at that point, you're not really doing what you love anymore. You're just sort of coasting. And I think the same thing could be said. People that I've worked with, and I'm not going to name who they are, and somebody I worked with recently on a show who's a very, very well-known, very, very well-known actor. This person, I could tell, they've had wild success throughout their career, but this person, they didn't want to be there. I don't think they didn't need to be there. They have so much money, they've had so much success, started to ask myself, oh, why is this person even going through this right now? Because they clearly are not enjoying themselves here. So I think that's always the danger if you get wildly successful like that. You know, maybe sometime in the near future I can reach that pinnacle. You dream of those certain things, and you know, my goal has never been to be famous. I didn't do this because I want to be famous. There are lots of people in Los Angeles who, you know, they come here to be famous, so that's their goal. That's not my goal. My goal is to be a good actor because I absolutely love doing it. There's nothing else that I can think of that I'd rather be doing because it allows me to basically play. You know, I get to play. When I was a kid, there's two things I wanted to be when I was a kid. I wanted to be a carpenter or a stuntman. And I ended up being an architect and an actor. So it's close. But that's the great thing about being an actor. The reason I wanted to be a stuntman because I was always out in the yard and it was play. I was falling out of trees and I was getting shot by bad guys, playing with my brother, and it's something I just love doing. I mean, it took me a long time to figure out that acting was a viable career for me because I explored lots of other things. And I think in a lot of ways it's helped me because I sort of came around late to understanding that was really what I wanted to do. And then, you know, I managed to have other careers and did other things. You know, I had those life experiences, so I think it's helped me in a lot of ways. And if I do become wildly successful, I think that the fact that I did come to it late is going to hopefully help my perspective.
Well, go ahead and plug in anything that you want to, any current projects that you want to promote there, or anything that you're working with, or anything related.
Yeah, well, I've got two shows that are coming out here in 2019. One is Are You Sleeping, which is an Apple TV series starring Octavia Spencer and Aaron Paul. I'm not sure when those episodes will be released. It's on Apple TV, and I don't think they even have a streaming platform yet, it's my understanding. You know, being who's in this show and knowing what they're putting into it, I guarantee you it will appear somewhere in the near future. And then I've also got a great role in a new episodic called LA's Finals, which again is streaming. I think it's at NBC or Spectrum, and that will be coming out in 2019. That's got Jessica Alba, Gabby Union, who played in the Los Angeles Cops, and I've got a great role as a helicopter pilot in there. And I have a bad guy, and the whole episode revolves around my character, so it's fun. I think it's going to be a great show. And then I don't know, I've got a couple of Frontier Communications commercials airing currently as well, so you might catch my face if you watch TV. I think those are airing nationally at the moment.
And there you go. That is actor Wayne Bastrup.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it, Mike.